I miss you guys so much. I just can't believe it. I miss you and I love you. I can't believe school's not going back on time. It makes me really sad. But I still wanted to find a way to be in contact with you guys and to show you my face and let you hear my voice because I just miss you so much. So each day I'm going to do a little something. I am going to make a little YouTube channel for just our class that we can see, and our parents and our grandparents and the people that we live with, they can see this channel. And what I'm going to do every day is read a little bit of this because I would feel really bad if you guys didn't get to hear the end of this book. So I really want to do this for you because I know you guys really enjoyed this story. So every day I'm going to read a little bit of this. I'll post it. You can watch it. I don't know. I'll put my email or you can comment on it, but some way where we can talk back and forth. I know I have a lot of your parents on Facebook and we talk on there sometimes, but some of you I don't get to talk to you outside of school. So I wanted to find a way to do that. So today I'm going to start, I think, right around the spot that we left off at. Thanks to my Farah girl. I asked her mom where we left off because Farah had this as her library book and she was following along with us when we would read in class. So thank you, Farah. We are on page 73. And before page 73, the last thing that we talked about was the cheese touch. And it's like something gross. Like the cheese touch. They don't want to touch August because they think he's gross because his face is deformed. So it's not true. He's not gross. He just has a deformed face. So the next page is titled Costumes. So I'm going to start there. Let me get a little drink of my coffee first, like we're at school. Okay. Costumes. For me, Halloween is the best holiday in the world. It even beats Christmas. I get to dress up in a costume. I get to wear a mask. I get to go around like every other kid with a mask and nobody thinks I look weird. Nobody takes a second look. Nobody notices me. Nobody knows me. I wish every day could be Halloween. We could all wear masks all the time. Then we could walk around and get to know each other before we got to see what we looked like under the masks. When I was little, I used to wear an astronaut helmet everywhere I went. To the playground, to the supermarket, to pick Via up from school. Even in the middle of summer, though it was so hot my face would sweat. I think I wore it for a couple of years, but I had to stop wearing it when I had my eye surgery. I was about 7, I think. And then, we couldn't find the helmet after that. Mom looked everywhere for it. She figured that it had probably ended up in Gran's attic. And she kept meaning to look for it, but by then, I'd gotten used to not wearing it. I have pictures of me in all my Halloween costumes. My first Halloween, I was a pumpkin. My second, I was Tigger. My third, I was Peter Pan, and my dad dressed as Captain Hook. My fourth, I was an astronaut. My sixth, I was Obi-Wan Kenobi. My seventh, I was a clone trooper. My eighth, I was Darth Vader. My ninth, I was the Bleeding Scream, the one that has the fake blood oozing out all over the skull. This year, I'm going to be Boba Fett. Not Boba Fett the kid in Star Wars Episode 2, Attack of the Clones, but Boba Fett the man from Star Wars Episode 5, The Empire Strikes Back. Mom searched everywhere for the costume, but couldn't find one in my size. So she bought me a Jango Fett costume since Jango was Boba's dad and wore the same armor. And then she painted the armor green. She did some other stuff to make it look worn too. Anyway, it looks totally real. Mom's good at costumes. In homeroom, we all talked about what we were going to be for Halloween. Charlotte was going as Hermione from Harry Potter. Jack was going as a Wolfman. I heard that Julian was going as Jango Fett, which was a weird coincidence. I don't think he liked hearing that I was going as Boba Fett. On the morning of Halloween, Via had this big crying meltdown about something. Via's always been so calm and cool, but this year she's had a couple of those kind of fits. Dad was late for work and was like, "Via, let's go! Let's go!" Usually, Dad is super patient about things, but not when it comes to his being late for work. And his yelling just stressed out Via even more, and she started crying louder. So Mom told Dad to take me to school and that she'd deal with Via. And then Mom kissed me goodbye quickly before I even put on my costume and disappeared into Via's room. "Augie, let's go now," said Dad. "I have a meeting I can't be late for." "I haven't put my costume on yet." "So put it on already. 5 minutes, I'll meet you outside." I rushed to my room and I started to put on the Boba Fett costume, but all of a sudden, I didn't feel like wearing it. I'm not sure why. Maybe because it had all these belts that needed to be tightened and I needed someone's help to put it on. Or maybe it was because it still smelled a little like paint. All I knew was that it was a lot of work to put the costume on, and Dad was waiting and would get super impatient if I made him late. So, at the last minute, I threw on the Bleeding Scream costume from last year. It was such an easy costume. Just a long black robe and a big white mask. I yelled goodbye from the door on my way out, but Mom didn't even hear me. "I thought you were going as Jango Fett," said Dad when I got outside. "Boba Fett!" "Whatever," said Dad. "This is a better costume anyway." "Yeah, it's cool," I answered. So really quick, I want you to think, like, he was so excited about his Boba Fett costume. Mom painted it. Mom made it unique and just for Augie. And then all of a sudden, he's like, I'll just be the Scream from a previous Halloween. I don't know. I feel like it might have had something to do with the fact that Julian was also going to be Jango Fett. So I don't know. Maybe he didn't want to be something from Star Wars just like Julian. I don't know. We really don't know, but I want you to think about it. Next page is called The Bleeding Scream. Sounds a little scary. Walking through the halls that morning on my way to the lockers was, I have to say, absolutely awesome. Everything was different now. I was different. Where I usually walked with my head down, trying to avoid being seen, today I walked with my head up, looking around. I wanted to be seen. One kid wearing the same exact costume as mine, long white skull face oozing fake red blood, high-fived me as we passed each other on the stairs. I have no idea who he was, and he had no idea who I was, and I wondered for a second if he would have ever done that if he'd known it was me under the mask. I was starting to think this was going to go down as one of the most awesome days in the history of my life, but then I got to homeroom. The first costume I saw as I walked inside the door was Darth Sidious. It had one of those rubber masks that are so realistic with a big black hood over the head and a long black robe. I knew right away it was Julian, of course. He must have changed his costume at the last minute because he thought I was going as Jango Fett. He was talking to two mummies who must have been Miles and Henry, and they were all kind of looking at the door as they were waiting for someone to come through it. It was a Boba Fett. I was going to go and sit at my usual desk, but for some reason, I don't know why, I found myself walking over to a desk near them, and I could hear them talking. One of the mummies was saying, "It really does look like him." "Like this part especially," answered Julian's voice. He put his fingers on the cheeks of the eyes of his Darth Sidious mask. "Actually," said the mummy, "what he really looks like is one of those shrunken heads. Have you ever seen those? He looks exactly like that." "I think he looks like an orc." "Oh, yeah." "If I looked like that," said the Julian voice, kind of laughing, "I swear to God I'd put a hood over my face every day." "I've thought about this a lot," said the second mummy, sounding serious, "and I really think if I looked like him, seriously, I think I'd kill myself." "You would not," answered Darth Sidious. "Yeah, for real," insisted the same mummy. "I can't imagine looking in the mirror every day and seeing myself like that. It would be too awful. And getting scared all the time. And getting stared at all the time. I'm sorry. "Then why do you hang out with him so much?" asked Darth Sidious. So I'm going to pause really quickly. They haven't told us who they're talking about. They're just saying how someone looks really someone looks bad, and if they looked like that, they would kill themselves. That is just, it's mean. But I have a feeling that they're talking about August, and they don't know that August is next to them, because he's wearing a mask. So, very mean. I don't know, answered the mummy. Tushman asked me to hang out with him at the beginning of the year, and he must have told all the teachers to put us next to each other in all of our classes or something. The mummy shrugged. I knew the shrug, of course. I knew the voice. I knew I wanted to run out of the class right then and there. But I stood where I was and listened to Jack Will finish what he was saying. Jack Will is supposed to be his best friend. Oh my goodness. I mean, the thing is, he always follows me around. What am I supposed to do? Just ditch him, said Julian. I don't know what Jack answered, because I walked out of the class without anyone knowing I had been there. My face felt like it was on fire while I walked back down the stairs. I was sweating under my costume, and I started crying. I couldn't keep it from happening. The tears were so thick in my eyes I could barely see, but I couldn't wipe them through the mask as I walked. I was looking for a little tiny spot to disappear into. I wanted a hole I could fall inside of, a little black hole that would eat me up. So I want to stop for just a second. Those words that August just said, those are so deep. He said, I was looking for a tiny little spot to disappear into. I wanted a hole I could fall inside of, a little black hole that would eat me up. So, to me, this reminds me of a feeling, maybe like times when I've been embarrassed. Sometimes I've gotten so embarrassed, I wish that I could just disappear and I could just go away and no one would even know. I'm sure a lot of you can relate to that, where if something happens, you wish that you could just disappear and just not even be there anymore. So think about that, how he would feel, and just how he was so happy walking into school with his head held up high. And then by the end of homeroom, he didn't even make it to one class. He already wanted to disappear and go home. He was no longer confident. So I think I'm going to read a little bit more. Okay, page 79. This one is titled Names. Rat Boy, Freak, Monster, Freddy Krueger, E.T., Gross Out, Lizard Face, Mutant. I know the names they called me. I've been in enough playgrounds to know kids can be mean. I know. I ended up in the second floor bathroom. No one was there because first period had started and everyone was in class. I locked the door to my stall, took off my mask, and just cried for I don't know how long. Poor guy. Then I went to the nurse's office and told her I had a stomach ache, which was true because I felt like I'd been kicked in the gut. Nurse Molly called Mom and had me lie down on the sofa next to her desk. 15 minutes later, Mom was at the door. Sweetness, she said, coming over to hug me. Hi, I mumbled. I didn't want her to ask anything until afterward. You have a stomach ache? She asked, automatically putting her hand on my forehead to check for my temperature. He said he feels like throwing up, said Nurse Molly, looking at me with very nice eyes. And I have a headache, I whispered. I wonder if it's something you ate, said Mom, looking worried. There's a stomach bug going around, said Nurse Molly. Oh, geez, said Mom, her eyebrows going up as she shook her head. She helped me to my feet. Should I call a taxi, or are you okay walking home? I can walk. What a brave kid, said Nurse Molly, patting me on the back as she walked us toward the door. If he starts throwing up or runs a temperature, you should call the doctor. Absolutely, said Mom, shaking Nurse Molly's hand. Thank you so much for taking care of him. My pleasure, answered Nurse Molly, putting her hand under my chin and tilting my face up. You take care of yourself, okay? I nodded and mumbled, thank you. Mom and I hug-walked the whole way home. I didn't tell her anything about what had happened, and later, when she asked me if I felt well enough to go trick-or-treating after school, I said no. This worried her, since she knew how much I usually loved trick-or-treating. I heard her say to Dad on the phone, "He doesn't even have the energy to go trick-or-treating. No fever at all. Well, I will if he doesn't feel better by tomorrow." I know, poor thing. Imagine him missing Halloween. I got out of going to school the next day too, which was Friday, so I had the whole weekend to think about everything. I was pretty sure I would never go back to school again. So I want to say something again. He said, I had the whole weekend to think about everything. I was pretty sure I would never go back to school again. So I want you to know, and I want you to take this away from this part, is that the things that we say, people remember them. If you are mean to someone and you want to hurt their feelings, people are going to remember that. They're going to remember how you made them feel. That's why I always want you guys to be nice to each other and be kind and just look out for one another, because you're in my class and I want us to just be a family. I don't want people to not want to come to school because they're getting picked on or because they don't have friends. That's not what I want. So just think about how terrible August had to feel to want to never come back to school. So that's where I'm going to stop. And tomorrow, guess where we're going to pick up? We're going to start with part 2, and it's Via's part. So the very first part that we read, this whole part, it was told by August. The story was told by August. So tomorrow, when I make my video, we're going to read, and it's going to be as if Via is telling the story. So, thank you so much for watching. I hope you get to watch this. Thank you so much for listening. I want to tell you to be good at home. Don't be getting in any trouble. That's not what we want. Be good at home. Help your parents, help your grandparents, help whoever you live with. Stay inside, stay safe. And I can't wait to see you tomorrow. Bye, guys.